those ladies without any preparation and stood in and did that reading. I appreciate that. Thank you. I wanted to do something a little different tonight, and I hope that I have. For some of you probably have not seen the Stations of the Cross. After the message tonight, I'll just say amen. And if you would just get up and leave in reverence, and see you maybe Sunday when it's more bright and glorious for Easter Sunday. There'll be a couple of us staying back and preparing the altar. As you know, there's nothing on the altar, it's bare. And that is for the reason. The winning team. My daughter's basketball team won the championship this year for the grade school of Western Washington County. This team started their basketball career 2 years ago, and they were laughed at for 2 years in the league. And they were fun to watch. It was. And this past year, they won all their games except one, but went on to be the league champs. Their ability to win those close games came with determination and God-given ability. They are not necessarily more skilled than any other players in the league. That key trait to their success was that they expected to win. They had gained full confidence in themselves and their teammates. They had fought through adversity and hardships, and they knew that they could win if we had accomplished what these girls had done. And we were on the winning team. Would we live and act differently today? Jesus' death on the cross is God's great mission to bring restoration, healing, and hope to the world. God's creation was fractured and continues to be fractured by the moment and by moment decisions of men and women to depend upon their strengths and to follow their own plans, schemes, and desires apart from the profound lives that God created us to live. Jesus offered this reason for his coming to the earth. I came that they may have life and have it abundantly. God sent Jesus to earth to teach us what he had intended for us to live. He modeled in his teachings and compassion service. Jesus' death on the cross was a profound witness to the love that God has for all the people. And through the cross, he created a path for all of us to encounter God and to be shaped into the people that God created us to be. In one of my Sunday school classes in East Corinth, one of my students said to me, I know why Jesus died on the cross. And I said, why? She responded, Jesus died on the cross so that we can live. She knew, and she had captured the essence of Jesus' life and death. Jesus' victory on the cross to become the people whom God created them to be. Our trust in Jesus' victory inspires us to make maximum impact for God's good in the world. Remember back in the 60s the Vietnam War, and how it impacted us and the whole world. Hazel and I used to wear the bracelets with an MIA with his name on it. I remember the most senior man that was captured and held at Hanoi Hilton during this time in history. If I remember correctly, the senior man was an admiral. An admiral. He was held for about 8 or 9 years and was tortured many times. He did make it through that terrible time. He served as a leader for the American servicemen. He had created a coded system of communication by using taps on the walls between the cells to keep those suffering in isolation engaged with the rest of the prisoners. He pointed out that the ones who would not survive would be those who are optimists. Instead, the ones that would survive would be those with key elements in tension. First, they never gave up on the belief that they would prevail in the end, and that there would be another chapter in their lives after they were released. Second, those who prevailed were brutally honest about the present hardships and challenges that they had faced. This combination of faith for the future, coupled with a forthright assessment of one's present difficulties, was a means for prevailing over the many adversities faced as POW. In our text today, Jesus already knows that this night will be his last here on earth. He has prepared himself through prayer. He is ready to fulfill his mission, even though this will entail death upon the cross. His disciples are not ready for this. Simon Peter cuts off the ear of the high priest's servant. And Jesus replies, "Put your sword back into the sheath. Am I not to drink the cup that the Father has given me?" Jesus knew what his mission would cost and how he had to resolve it through the end. He trusted the future to the hands of his Heavenly Father. Do we trust that God has the best in his heart for us? Are we willing to risk the now for the sake of the future that God plans to bring to us? We now have the trials before Annas and the Roman governor Pontius Pilate, which leads us to the flogging and the Jesus crucifixion, which we saw on the TV. And we have Peter vigorously denies his association with Jesus. Not just once, but 3 times. And Jesus walks to the cross to fulfill God's purpose. Peter, however, denies the one whom he has given up everything to follow. What a contrast. Peter lost himself, but Jesus, however, by dying upon the cross, won the final victory. I have a bird feeder out in the back of my home. We have chickadees, goldfinches, purple finches, and many others. They all seem to know when a storm is coming. They will all head into the forest and take cover, except for the chickadees. There is a lesson here in watching them. The birds even thought going into the forest, the storm still overcomes them. In contrast, the chickadees instinctively knows that a crisis must be confronted head on if it is to be survived. When storms pop up, the chickadees turn resolute to face it, put their heads down, and they stay put. What do we do? Face it like a chickadee? Or do we do like the other birds? What storms do we need to face to be faithful to the lives that God has created for us to live? In the book of John, we come to the description of the crucifixion and the death of Jesus. Just before he dies, he reached a climactic point and cries out, "It is finished." And with this breath, his last breath, and died. The mission of God to bring salvation to humanity reached its conclusion. Jesus' work of salvation was finished. But God was not done. Jesus died, but this was not the end of our story. The end that God is writing is life, not death. Good Friday is good only in the light of the reality of Jesus' resurrection on the following morning. God's raising of Jesus from the dead secured the future. And when we put our trust in Jesus and follow him, we join the winning team. This does not mean that the present is never bleak. But it does mean that when the fourth quarter comes to the end, our team will prevail. This is good news of the gospel. In the end, love wins because God wins. The truth can change your life. Amen.